Today, part 2 of the books I picked up at a 25-cent sidewalk sale. Check it out. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and this is Northgarden Comics. Like I said, today is part 2 of a comic haul that I started in my previous video. If you haven't seen the previous one, don't you worry about it. There's no prerequisites before you watch this one. I will say that at the end of this video, I will have a link up here in one of these two spots that you can click on to go back and watch that part 1 if you so choose. I'll also put part 1 link down in the description of this video. But to set the context, this was a sale that a local shop here in the Twin Cities area was holding. The shop is called Hot Comics and Collectibles. They have 3 locations, one in a city called New Hope, one in a city called Richfield, and this third one in a city called Jordan, and that's where this particular sale was. This was part of their end of summer free comic book day event where they had held back all of the free comic books that publishers put out throughout the summer and collected them all to do one event, trying to keep it as similar to previous year's free comic book day events as they could, though they had to limit the number of people in stores, things like that. This was an outdoor sidewalk sale with 15 to 20 long boxes of comics, again, all for 25 cents a piece, old things, new things, bagged and boarded, some completely raw, naked books, no bag or board, but all things a quarter. And I came home with some great finds. In total, got about 55 books, again, for 25 cents a piece. And spoiler, not a spoiler, more a teaser of things to come. I thought this was pretty amazing, the books that I got for 25 cents a piece in this one day. But since I posted that last video, but prior to me filming this one, that same store posted that they were doing a second 25-cent sidewalk sale. They did it 1 week later, and they had all fresh inventory out. And so, of course, I had to go back down. I didn't know what I'd find, but I really got lucky. And let me just give you a little teaser again. Here's what I came home with the second time. So I thought I did well the first time with like 50 some odd books. The second time I came home with closer to 100 books. So it's a little bit crazy and in some ways even overwhelming to get that many books at a time for 25 cents a piece. I'm not complaining in any way, shape, or form, but I'm happy and looking forward to be able to share those with you. So if you like seeing 25-cent books, and I got some pretty good things for 25 cents a piece, both in this day's sale and then this second follow-up sale. So if you like those kind of books, you got some good videos and content to look forward to. But let's get to the books that we've got from the first day of the sale. This is rounding out that pile. These are in no particular order, but I did group them by title. And I will say that stick around to the end because I saved one particularly special book for the end that I was really happy and completely surprised to find for just 25 cents. So, diving right in here. First up, we've got Marvel Fanfare. I picked up 2 issues of this series from the 80s. I'm not sure where I land on what I want to collect or not. My tastes and the desire to collect things or not is always evolving. And I never collected this when it came out, never had any issues for ever until just this year where I started picking up a few and thought maybe I would collect the whole run. Now I'm not sure. Maybe I want to hold out and just get particular stories. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth, but when you're only spending 25 cents, it's pretty low risk if I change my mind and don't want to get the whole volume. But this was, for those of you who don't know, this was a volume that collected stories by different writers, artists, things that weren't featured in regular monthly titles and that they had just had an inventory and then they would pull out for Marvel Fanfare, or maybe it was up-and-coming creative team or individuals that they wanted to feature, but they're all more of a premium book. They all have this wraparound type of a cover. This story features Alpha Flight. There are no ads in this book, and they're on more of a premium paper for the time. And so you had a higher price tag. I think the normal price of a book at this time was about 75 cents. And so these were double at $1.50, at least for number 28, it was $1.50. I also picked up number 44. 28 here I picked up because I like all things X-Men related. And number 44 I picked up because I thought that was a cool painted looking Iron Man cover, and then wrap around, you got Dr. Doom on the back. So great pickups for 25 cents a piece. Next up, we've got the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. This is the deluxe edition. So it's a still regular stapled book there, a little bit thicker. There were 20 issues, and I was a sucker for these when I was a kid. And this one I grabbed primarily for the cover buy. I like She-Hulk, and so I grabbed that one, and I didn't have this one in my collection already. And I know Marvel is actually, you can pre-order it now. They're doing an omnibus of the deluxe edition. There are 20 issues, like I said, and collecting them all in one oversized hardcover. So that should be pretty cool to see when that comes out. Next up here, NYX. This was a limited series of 7 issues. This is part 6 of 7. I now have 2 issues in this limited series. This is best known for, I forget what number it is. It's in one of the lower numbers, but the first appearance of Laura Kinney, or X-23. And I, of course, would love to find that issue for 25 cents or $1, even $2. But I'm not super convinced that I will someday, but I'm always optimistic, and I'll hold out and be patient and see if I find it. In the meantime, I'll grab some of these other issues as I can, because I'm kind of a completionist too. If I get her first appearance, that'd be great, but I would love to have the whole miniseries to read. The next 3 were fun buys. These are from a series of titles that was featured or began in the 90s, and I don't know if they're seeing a resurgence in popularity. I've seen a lot of postings of these in social media over the course of the year. I think what it is that people who were kids in the 90s, those things are obviously nostalgic, just like all things from our childhood will generate that type of nostalgia. But this title now is getting some maybe renewed attention, and I'm a sucker for the gimmicky covers from the 90s. But we got X-Men 2099, number 1. Got that metallic kind of foil border there. And I love all things X-Men, like I said, so I grabbed that. Then there's this Ravage 2099, number 1, with the gold border. I don't know Ravage at all, but it was 25 cents and had that cool shiny cover. And then lastly, this was really cool to see, Doom 2099, number 1, with the silver border. So again, for only 25 cents, fun number 1s to be able to pick up and add to my collection. The next couple come from a volume that I'm casually collecting just because of the time period, the character, the artwork. But we've got DAZZLER, and these are generally pretty easy to find for not very expensive. And I do try to hold out to get better condition, better grade type of copies. And so I picked up number 40 and number 41. Those are in good shape. They have some others that were a little bit more beat up, so I figured I'll leave them behind and I'll hold out. Because again, I'm not really anxious to get all of these. It's just more as I see them in good shape, I'll grab them and add them to my collection. These next books I was really happy to find. I'm a big fan of Daredevil. Love the current run that's going on right now. I am working on Brian Bendis' run from Volume 2 of Daredevil, but there's also some portions of Volume 1 of Daredevil that I'm trying to put together. I'm not looking to get the whole volume. I, of course, lower numbers of anything Daredevil I would love to get, but then particularly where I'm trying to focus my attention is really Frank Miller, and then moving forward all the way through almost to the end, just before you get to issue 300, I think is the end of like Ann Nocenti's run when she was writing it. So that whole run of Daredevil I'm trying to put together. And again, it's similar where I will hold out for better condition copies, because you can find a lot of these, but they're usually pretty beat up, and either the whites on the cover or the pages themselves are kind of browned or yellowed. So I'll hold out for those higher condition books when I can. But they had several of them there for 25 cents a piece. So I picked up number 201, the Black Widow on the cover there. And the other thing I'll say again, I said this in the last video, but the way you're seeing these books is how they were in the long boxes. I haven't rebagged and boarded anything, so like this DAZZLER, no bag or board. Today, it didn't have a bag or board in the box. So impressive that it still maintained that condition, because who knows how long it was like that in that box. But then these two, no board. Oh, nice Q*bert though. Anybody who remembers that video game. But they were bagged, and this is you obviously can't feel it, but this is, I believe, a polyethylene bag. It's kind of that softer plastic, and I always know it when you're going through a long box, and if you get several polyethylenes in a row and they've been smushed in there for a long time, you usually have to peel them apart. They usually get a little stickier as they degrade over time. But Daredevil 205, nope, 201. Next is 205, and then 206, and some of these were double booked, so you got 207 as well. And the other cool thing about this sale, as if 25 cents a book wasn't good enough, it wasn't just that it was 25 cents a book. When they counted, if there were 2 books in a bag, that counted as one. Not only that, they had some larger bags where there were whole runs. I mean, I'm talking like 15, even 20 books in one bag, and they would count that as one. So you get that whole thing for 25 cents. There wasn't anything there that was of interest to me, and some of those things were kind of beat up. And even though it was that cheap, I still do draw the line somewhere. I'm not just going to buy anything because my space, like many of us, is limited. So I've got to be careful about what I bring home and what I leave behind. But 206, 207, 210. Here's 212. And then 213 on the back. And these are all direct editions. Here's 215. 216 and 217. I've always thought that was a really cool cover with Black Widow. Like that one a lot. And then 218. This one reminds me of a old Scooby-Doo cartoon where you pull off the one mask and there's another masked man underneath the mask, and then they have to pull that one off to see who's really under there. More Daredevil, different volume. I mentioned just a minute ago that I'm collecting the Michael Bendis run of Daredevil, and they had a few more issues that I needed there. So I picked up number 37, and this is David Maleev. Actually, Maleev wasn't doing the art on these yet. Manuel Guthrie. Oh, Alex Maleev did this one. Maleev looks like he did the cover on this, but not the interiors. And then Alex Maleev did this one as well. This is number 43. So, piece those together. Again, I normally try to collect these in chunks when there's a long run, so there's some kind of system to it. But when they're in good shape and only 25 cents a piece, then those rules kind of fly out the window, and I'll pick up what's there just because it's such a good deal. Now we shift gears over to some Fantastic Four. Volume 1 of Fantastic Four is massive, and it's another run. I'm not trying to collect the whole thing, but I am trying to put together the John Byrne run, which started around issue, I want to say like the 230, 232, somewhere in there. I'd have to double check. And then it ran through issue, I believe, 293. So that run I'd like to put together. And they had a few more, or a couple issues in that run that I picked up that were in pretty good shape. We got number 275 with a cool She-Hulk cover. And I'm going to eat humble pie right now. When I first saw that, I thought it was a Stan Lee, Stan Lee art on the cover, or, caricature on the cover. That is not Stan Lee. You can look closer. No mustache, no facial hair like Stan Lee had at the time. But if you read the story, he's actually the antagonist. He's kind of a slimy guy. So definitely no connection to Stan Lee. Stan Lee was a very upstanding guy. This guy's a slime ball in the book, and She-Hulk gives him his what he's due. So that issue there. And then number 289, again, while She-Hulk is part of the Fantastic Four there, but part of the John Byrne run. Now we go over to some Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight is a title that I collected mostly in back issues. When I was collecting it currently, it was probably in the issues like 50 to 80, somewhere in there kind of range. Whatever was in the late 80s, early 90s. And over time, I've wanted to put together some more of those back issues. It's kind of grown. I wanted to get the first 30. Then there's some other keys in there that were semi-significant that I thought I would add. But this actually helped me round out some of my wish lists on Alpha Flight. I was able to get issue number 29. Cool Hulk on the cover there. And that is, I want to say that's Mike Mignola. Yep. You can see out here, Mignola does the cover. and I think he does the interior art. Mike Mignola and Jerry Talaoc, T-A-L-A-O-C, are the artists on that. But that's got some nice white pages on the inside too, which is nice to find because there was no bag or board on these. This one's a little bit, I didn't even notice this. It almost looks like somebody spilled their coffee on this. But this is number 30. Another Mike Mignola that you see on the A in Alpha Flight. Oh, little stain there. Oh, and on the back you can see it too. I did not notice that when I bought it. You'd be surprised at things that you can overlook when you're overwhelmed by 25-cent books. But again, I only paid $0.25, so will I buy an upgrade copy at some point? Maybe, maybe not. Do I really care? It's very readable, and I can enjoy the story for $0.25, so I can live with that. And then the last Alpha Flight that I picked up is number 53. I got to go check my sources again. I believe this is the first interior art at Marvel by Jim Lee. He does do the cover, but Bill Mantlo does the script, Jim Lee does the pencils, Whilce Portacio does the inks. Fun little piece of comic book industry history there for 25 cents. 2 more books to go. This one I normally would not have purchased, like say it was $1 or $2, not because I don't want the book, but because I like to get things in somewhat of an order. I don't have any from this volume yet, but this is Mighty Thor. It's volume 1 of Mighty Thor, officially, where that's the title. But Romita Jr. was doing the art duties on this at the beginning of this volume. And his is an art style that I didn't used to like. And then it kind of grew on me over time. And I guess today I'm somewhat mixed. I guess I more like it than don't. It's very distinct. But yeah, but I'm looking to put this part of his run together where he did this volume of Thor. Normally I would not start with number 2, but again, it was in good shape and it was only 25 cents, so I figured what the heck, I'll just go ahead and get number 2 as the first issue in the run there. Now for the last book that I saved aside to show you last. As I was going through these, you got an idea for the kinds of books and the age of the books that were in there and the condition. But you never know what you're going to find at a 25-cent sale. You can find some books that are completely trash, right? Ripped up and cut up and things like that. And 25 cents, are they even worth that? But then there's some other times where you find books and you wonder, holy cow, how did this wind up in a bin for just 25 cents? And this is a title I'm not collecting, but it's an older book and it was just so cool I couldn't leave it behind. This is Justice League of America, number 100. So 25 cents for this book. I don't know. I mean, this book doesn't command like hundreds of dollars, but it's a significant milestone issue. And I believe I read part of it so far, not the whole thing, but they say it's when Silver Age Wonder Woman meets Golden Age Wonder Woman. You know, that's kind of a stretch. Yes, they meet. I haven't gotten to the part where they actually talk or anything. There's just a brief panel where it mentions that, you know, introductions were exchanged and then they kind of got on with the story. So maybe it happened off panel or in the gutter, so to speak. But yeah, Justice League of America number 100. I did look for issue 103, which I've mentioned in another video, because there's a fun, unofficial, subtle crossover where the creative teams wrote Justice League of America, Mighty Thor, and Amazing Adventures, when it was telling a story about Beast when he got his fur and things like that. But they didn't have that one, but they did have this. So super excited to find this book for 25 cents. All right, that's going to do it for me, and that's going to wrap up part 2 of this comic book adventure, showing you the books I got for 25 cents at a sidewalk sale. If you like this kind of content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's down there somewhere in that corner. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you've got cool stories to share about books you found for great prices, let me know in the comments down below. As promised, if you want to go back and watch part 1, there's a link up here somewhere that you can click on and go back and do that now. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.